Hello everyone. This is Elena Bartosh, your real estate investor. And today my guest is my friend, Patrick Yoder. And we are going to talk about independent senior living, co-living business. Hi, Patrick.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How is your day?
Very good. Very relaxing. It's finally warm in Pennsylvania, so
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I know. This coast is beautiful today. Yeah, I'm in Massachusetts. It's beautiful as well. Thank you so much, Patrick, for coming today to give people value. Yeah, I really appreciate it a lot.
oh, you're very welcome. Glad we can help.
Yeah, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so you do independent senior living. Yep, you are investor. You and your business partners, you guys do independent senior living, co-living business.
Correct. Yes.
Perfect.
It's
Okay, let's talk a little bit about you first, because for those who doesn't know you, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
oh, I am a jack of all trades, master of none, literally. My original background is actually hospitality. I have a bachelor's degree in culinary arts and management, and then I co-own a general contracting company with my brother. And then I got into real estate in 2021. Went down YouTube University, started with Pace and Jamil,
Mm-hmm.
dabbled in wholesaling, did not like it. Honestly, wholesaling is a great way to get started in real estate, but until you get your systems and processes in place, anybody will tell you you can be very successful or you can break yourself and
Mm-hmm.
it's just a headache.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Started working and pairing with the general contracting company, started pairing with real estate investors, doing all their estimates, doing all their fix and flips,
Mm-hmm.
doing their buy and hold projects.
Mm-hmm.
But as with anybody, I wanted my own portfolio. So I'm like, okay, how do we make this happen? And what is the most lucrative way to make that happen? And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, we were doing some fix and flips. We were doing, single family investments with those two exit strategies. Does it work as a long-term rental, as a mid-term rental? But there was still a void. Like, it was still a grind. You're still dealing with a tenant. Maybe that tenant moves out after 2 years. You're still dealing with toilets. You're still dealing with maintenance. Um, I knew that there was another niche that we could get into. And with my current
Mm-hmm.
partners, we found that co-living is absolutely amazing, as anybody knows. It's a very lucrative business model. It's a great way to increase revenues. It's a great retirement package. But
Mm-hmm.
how can we serve the community more? And that's where we got into the co-living, but the assisted living model for senior independent living.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we started developing that. And actually, my partner found his first assisted living through a drive. He was literally driving home from work, and there was a sign that said, "For sale by owner." He called the number, and the seller was like, "You don't want this. You don't want the mobile home park. I have something better for you. I have an assisted living facility that's a 20 bed um, unit, and you can take that, and we'll sell or finance it to you, and we'll work things out." And so he bought that instead of the mobile home park.
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
same seller came around and was like, "Hey, you know what? I have another one. I want to retire. I'm 69 years old. I don't want to deal with these properties anymore. I just want mailbox money. I want to be able to travel, spend time with my grandkids. I just want to, I just want my mailbox money." So he sold us this second facility.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kept it going. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Um, so it's like regular co-living, and forgive me for saying this, but it is essentially like Golden Girls go to a fraternity party. That's what it is. It is senior
Yeah.
independent living. These are individuals that have either lost a spouse, maybe they
Mm-hmm.
just are affordable housing. So they're using their
Yep.
SSI or SSD as part of their housing vouchers. So it's essentially
Mm-hmm.
senior citizen Section 8 housing. We do it very affordable.
Perfect.
Um, and then
Perfect.
there's some other models that we will talk about later on.
Yeah.
But yes, there's some models for that
Yeah,
as well.
Patrick, I would like to decode a little bit for those people who will be watching us in the future because this video will stay on my YouTube. So Patrick just mentioned couple weird words. Co-living. Co-living means people rent rooms. People don't rent apartments. They don't rent houses. People share one apartment or one house with more people. Sometimes in some programs they allow people to stay two people in one room, right? This is one
Correct.
stuff. Another section 8, it means there are state program for low income people. In every state, actually, almost every state, I would say, has section 8 for low incomes, right? And many different states have different programs, even more than section 8, for different types of low income people. So Patrick, could you please tell us where, for example, if me as an investor, if I'm considering to start any transition in housing, any co-living housing, and I would like to cooperate with state program, where I have to start from?
Okay, so your first course of action is sourcing the property. So you want to work,
Mm-hmm,
either you have a really good wholesaler that works with commercial properties or mixed use. You don't want to work with the residential properties because if you're going the, like for us in Pennsylvania, I'll go over this in a moment, but we require licensure. So we do need to work with the state for licensure. So
oh,
your first step is to work with either that agent, so find yourself a unicorn agent, find a wholesaler who specializes in mixed use commercial properties. Um,
mm-hmm,
and then once you source that property, you'll be able to walk through it, and maybe the current status of that property is, say, 8 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. But
mm-hmm,
through the co living model, we can add additional bedrooms. So you take the common spaces out, you take the dining room out, you take the living room out, you take you can even turn the garages into bedrooms. Um,
mm-hmm,
so follow your local building code and make sure that you can have that square footage to make it a bedroom. And then, of course, the two egresses. So you really need to make sure that your general contractor understands co-living model and building code. Um, so you need your agent or your individual that's going to help you, whether that's a wholesaler, a fellow investor, and then a unicorn agent. You need your contractor who's going to walk the property with you
mm-hmm,
and who's going to understand the building codes and compliance. Then you might need to reach out to your state level, and some call it the Department of Health, some call it licensure and inspections or L&I. So for us in
mm-hmm,
Pennsylvania, we have to go to L&I. And what we actually L&I license and inspection, we have to go to them for the certificate of compliance that tells us we can be an independent living. But then we also need to register with the Department of Health as a
mm-hmm,
an assisted living facility. So you need to look at each state's regulations. Um, so that's for assisted living. Now we could go the route of just doing a group home. So your group
mm-hmm.
home, same thing, transitional housing. If you're providing something for, there's an incarcerated, a post-incarcerated individual getting out that just needs a house for 3 months, um, or sober living. So all of these models are co-living. You just need to
Yeah.
understand each locality's regulations. That's why the mixed
Mm-hmm,
use and commercial is a little more friendly because there's things. So, like for us in Pennsylvania, it's called R2, which means residential
mm-hmm,
2, which is medium density population. So for us, that means that, we need 100 square feet for a
mm-hmm,
double occupancy bedroom. And then we also require one full bath for 6 individuals. So,
mm-hmm,
for example, our one property that is 40 tenants, we have 8 full baths, 2 half baths, and 20 bedrooms. We have
mm-hmm,
one commercial kitchen, And then we have two kitchenettes that we call refreshment stations. So if anybody wants coffee, granola bars, whatever it may be, fresh fruit, um, we have the office for our administrator, and then we have two very large common areas. And
Mm-hmm.
activities, we have walls. Uh, we have residents that like painting, so they do oil work or they'll do watercolors. We have residents that love gardening, so the outside we have different types of gardens available. So there's always
Mm-hmm.
something to do for the residents. Um,
Okay. And it's requirement, right? It's requirement from department to have something
yes,
outside, or you decide. Okay.
Yes. So you need to have something available. You can't just sit there and say, okay, we're going to play bingo every single day. You want to make something available
Mm-hmm.
to the residents. Um, for example, access to healthcare is via telehealth, or we work with the local county area on aging for the transportation to and from the doctor's appointments. And
Mm-hmm.
just like going to school on a school bus, there's a bus route. They'll take, two or three residents at any given time to their doctor's appointments, pick them up at the same time, try to schedule them accordingly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we also have capacity. One of my partners owns a used car dealership. So we have the ability to lease cars to our tenants if we have to. We could say, hey, for 20 bucks a day, here, go take the car you need as long as you have a valid license. You can
Mm-hmm.
go out and rent the car for the day and go into town and do your grocery shopping. So that's another value add that we provide. In
Mm-hmm.
addition, we also have that regular transportation schedule. So with the county and the resources. So you need to know your resources in your county and your locality. Um, so that's another avenue, again, for value add. In addition to that, we
Mm-hmm.
also have a self-storage facility on site. So we're lucky. We were fortunate. There's a 10-car garage on the one site, and we can lease that to the tenants, or we can use that as additional income for the property as well.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I would like, you know what, Patrick? I would like to come back a little bit to requirements from Department of Health or Department of Housing, which
okay.
it doesn't matter which one you have to reach out, right? So before to buy house, to buy property, in your case it's commercial. So do you would you suggest people to reach out to them and to ask their requirements?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's important to reach out to them
Mhm.
and just make that contact and say, hey, we're looking to, um, we want to develop or we want to put a property together as a independent living. Um,
Mhm.
what are your requirements? So when you reach out to the state, so for
Mhm.
example, North Carolina also does not require licensure for, so in Pennsylvania, we need that license. In North Carolina, to be an assisted living,
Mhm.
the lowest, I'll call it quantitative care because it's not lowest quality care as an
Mhm.
independent living, you don't need to be licensed in North Carolina. Now, the moment you
Mm.
start instilling things like if you have a certified nurse assistant and things like that, then you need to go and get licensure. So yes, it's very important to reach out to the locality, very important to reach out to the state Department of Health or license and inspection and say, hey, I want to open a co-living, I want to open an assisted living facility or
Mhm.
an independent facility, an independent senior living or co-living atmosphere, and just let them know exactly
Mhm.
what you plan on doing. And then they will guide you to their website. The websites are all going to have certain applications. They're going to have qualifications. So, for example, they wanted to know my background in hospitality and how it relates to real estate and how it
Oh,
relates to
really?
senior co-living. They
Oh,
wanted,
wow.
they used my partner's background in commercial real estate, and his day job is actually medical sales. He's a
Mhm.
regional manager for a medical implant device company. So
Mhm.
they used that experience as medical experience and said, okay, you have a great background in leadership.
Mhm.
You know how to, you can crunch numbers and you can make things run and you build teams. You work together very well. So they look at your
Mhm.
background and your experience. Um,
Yep.
then the other factor is once you start hiring staff, so certain, again, every state is going to have a requirement. So, like in Pennsylvania, we need to have staff 24 hours a day. We need to have, so for 40 residents, we need to have three staff every single
Mm.
day, 24/7. And it's really only two staff members because our administrator is salaried, so she can choose when she wants to
Mm-hmm.
work. There are some days where or some weeks where she's working 100 hours a week, and then there's some weeks where she's 10 hours because she puts so many hours in during the other days. Um, so she's constantly on the phone. Screening new potential tenants. She's dealing with
Mm-hmm.
community relationships. There's always grant programs available, which we could talk about in a little bit, but state funding,
Mm-hmm.
national funding. Um, so really establishing those relationships. Um,
Okay.
so
Great.
staffing is key as well. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Patrick. Guys, for those who are watching us right now, just to remind you, here is Patrick Yoder. He is independent senior living co-living operator in Pennsylvania, and we are speaking about his experience, how he started this business. How, he gives us suggestions and uh, different ideas how to find property, what kind of property it should be, and then um, requirements from different state organizations. And just to remind you guys, if you will still have questions after this session, I put link to Zoom meeting right after we will be done with this live session. Please join us in this Zoom and we will discuss and Patrick will answer your questions. Thank you so much, Patrick. Okay, so what next? What are the any specific? Okay, we spoke about regulation already, right? You gave people information what kind of department we want to connect if we want to run this type of co-living. But okay, do they have any requirements in terms of furniture or any equipment inside of the house?
so just like co-living, so Furnish Finder or Pad Split, um, the requirement is a bed, a dresser, or a closet. So you could have one or the other. You don't need both.
Mm-hmm.
So bed, dresser, or closet, and table. We need ceiling fans or a box
Mm-hmm.
fan. So it could be one or the other. In addition
Mm-hmm.
to the PTAC units. So PTACs are individual thermostats in each room. So just like you go into a hotel and you have that air conditioner in your
Mm-hmm.
room, that's what we have in our facilities. We don't have communal, baseboard electric heat or propane. We have PTAC units in all the rooms, and then the common
Mm-hmm.
areas are propane heat and hot water. So um, those are the requirements for that. And then your community furniture, there's no set standard as far as like, oh, you need to have, black chairs with white seat covers, and your
Mm-hmm.
tables need to be 20-foot long by 8 feet wide or something like that. You can have durable, non-porous surfaces. Um, Make sure it's heavy duty. You don't want to go on that shopping spree to IKEA and put furniture
Mm-hmm.
together. You really want something that's going to be solid and steady. You don't want particle board furniture. Something that's going
Mm-hmm.
to last and is going to be sturdy because with senior independent housing, sometimes people fall. So if they, God forbid,
Yeah.
and hopefully it never happens, but if they do fall, that's going to break the furniture and it's going to injure them, and we're
Mm-hmm.
more concerned about their health than we get. Furniture is repairable and replaceable, but we want to make sure that as they're also trying to get up, they can use that as a crutch. So we don't want cheaper furniture. So
Mm-hmm.
definitely look at like a mid-grade furniture. There's various websites that the short-term rentals use. One of them is called Minoan, Minoan, so
Mm-hmm.
Minoan.com. The other one is called Host GPO. That one does have a membership fee to it, but you can get everything for a short-term rental for your co-living establishment.
Mhm.
Absolutely everything there, and they have designers. So if you tell them, "Hey, this is my model, this is my budget, help me build a package," Host GPO will help you meet that criteria. They'll get you your end tables, they'll get you your beds, your mattresses, your box springs,
Mhm.
your sheets, your bedding, your toiletries.
Mhm.
So Host
Yep.
GPO is absolutely phenomenal. Um, and I don't get paid to sponsor. I'm just telling you, those are some websites that we've used. Um, we do
Mhm.
use things like Wayfair. I mean, absolutely, we've gone on Wayfair.
Mhm.
And we do have some IKEA furniture, not gonna lie. The office, for example, has some IKEA furniture
Mhm.
in it. Um, so
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And you mentioned you guys must for this type of co-living, you must to have stuff, right?
Yes. Yep.
Oh, Patrick.
Yep. So you
Yeah.
want to make sure you
So
have.
yes. Sorry, you just got froze for a while. So you need stuff,
Oh,
right?
sorry. So you were asking about the staff, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So with us, our staff is basically like administrators. They have
Mm-hmm.
what's called the first aid CPR for the professional rescuer, or first
Mm-hmm.
aid CPR for BLS, which is the American Heart or American Red Cross, one or the other. They don't need both. Um, They are trained in medicine administration, but the only meds that they will give out is things like Advil or Tylenol. They are not giving out
Mm-hmm.
prescriptions because they are not trained to do that. Again, we are the lowest quantitative care when it comes to co-living atmosphere in Pennsylvania. So we don't, those staff do not need that. But if they, we could always upgrade and say, hey, we want to become that facility, but then we need to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that our staff is what they call CNAs, certified nurse aides, or certified medical
Mm-hmm.
assistants. Then we have to upgrade our staff and train and then hire those
Mm-hmm.
types of staff. But so for right now, they are just trained in basic first aid CPR. Um, and they are facilitators. They will sometimes help. If somebody needs help um, carrying their laundry to their room, or maybe they need help getting out of bed. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
whatever small daily tasks that they need help with. Um, One of our staff members, for example, does drive the bus because we do again have a bus that we can take them to their doctor's appointments. So if
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, we have to bring in another staff member that stays on the site, but then that other staff member will transport them to their doctor's appointments. So staffing,
Mm-hmm.
you really need to make sure, again, it comes back to your state regulations that you're in compliance, and your administrator is going to know that. So that's a part of your team, making sure you have that administrator in place with you. Um,
Yeah.
because that administrator is essentially your partner, even though they're not an equity partner in the real estate, they truly are a
Mm-hmm.
part of your team. So, and you
Yeah.
you treat them as such. So,
Yeah. Interesting. Thank you so much, Patrick. And uh, I don't think you are on that point yet, but did you do any refinance with your properties yet? Did you?
we are in the works for refinancing the first property.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in the works with going through a cash out refinance on our 20-bed facility. And for that one, they needed to see the 36 months of the profit and loss statement. So we needed to make sure that we had our dotted our I's, crossed our T's. We had to pair with the previous owner to say, hey, we are looking at a
Mm-hmm.
cash out refinance. Do you have those records available? So you need to make sure that during your due diligence, when you look for these types of facilities, that if they are existing and you do a cash out refi, that you have those records as part of your due diligence. So we were fortunate that we were able to obtain those. If not,
Mm-hmm.
because the property is considered commercial and not residential, they'll base it off of the income off of the property. So it's a little easier to do a cash out refi. It's not like a residential home where they're just going to
Mm-hmm.
base it off of comps in the area. So they'll base it off of the commercial aspect and say that, okay, this
Yeah.
is a co living, it is a commercial building. We're going to treat it much like a motel or a hospitality or transient lodging place. And
Mm-hmm.
then they would take that accordingly. So they would base it off of the income and say that, okay, your property is bringing in $30,000 a month. So based on this, we're going to say that your property is valued at $900,000 based on the three other comps in the area because they will pull commercial comps within a
Mm-hmm.
specified, usually about 15 miles with commercial properties. But I don't want to speak for everybody because they're all different. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so with ours, we are going with a local bank as well. We're using a local credit union to do the cash out refi. So they are going 15 miles because we are also in a rural setting. So they are going that
Mm-hmm.
15 miles. So that's another
Mm-hmm.
thing to consider. Are you rural? Because trying to find funding on that is going to be key. Um, and then again, they look at it from the income standpoint and not just the comps in the area like you would a
Mm-hmm.
residential property.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
our 20 unit came back. We purchased it in November of 2024 for 600,000. It came back, the appraisal came back at $900,000. So
Good.
November, December, January, February, March, April, May, and we got how much in equity just based off of that. So that's incredible.
Great.
That is absolutely incredible. And the only thing we did was paint some walls. We paint and spackled. We had to fix some damaged walls, replace some ceiling tiles, replace some carpet tiles.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the LVP flooring we fixed. We put in a dishwasher, a new washer and dryer, and we replaced half of the roof because half of the roof did need to be replaced. It was cheaper just to replace
Mm-hmm.
the roof. Um, that property is half of a church, and then it has a build on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the church roof needed to be replaced. So we did that. So we forced valued
Mm-hmm.
add in such a short amount of time, and we're doing a cash out refi,
Mm-hmm.
mainly because we got the property via seller financing, and the note was substantially higher than what the lender was giving us with this local credit union.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually saving about $3,000 a month now that we get the seller paid off. Um, so that's
Wonderful.
really cool.
Just wonderful. And just to clarify, Patrick, do you have one person in your room, or you have two people in the rooms?
So we are doing double occupancy, so two
Okay.
people per room. But we do also offer packages. If somebody wants a private room, they can do that. We would offer
Yep.
that. It is going to be a little more in price, but we can offer
Yep.
that. Our 20-bed facility actually has a husband and wife couple that live
Mm-hmm.
there, and they pay us $3,000 a month to live there.
Mm,
So
wonderful.
it's about
And
fifteen hundred
per my
dollars a
understanding,
resident.
yeah, great. And per my understanding, they all have, and you actually mentioned it, they all have vouchers, right? They're connected to this Department of Health,
Yes,
who provide them
correct,
vouchers, right?
correct.
And could you please
Yes.
tell us a little bit how it works in Pennsylvania, for example? Because honestly, for me, it's something totally new. I just had conversation last week with Texas, Houston
So for us in
department.
Pennsylvania, they are basing it on their SSI income. So they're basing it off of how much they get from their retirement, and they're basing it
Mhm,
off of how much they get from, if they're on Social Security disability. So their cost of living. So that's what the state of Pennsylvania is basing it off of, and that's what they're doing for that, and
mhm,
how they're doing it. So there are some tenants that are giving us $1,800 a month just based on their income.
mhm,
And then there are
mhm,
some that are giving us only $1,300 a month. But the average is about $1,500 a month $1,500 a month. And it's you
Per
work
room,
closely.
per
So
room or per person?
each of per person, per person.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yep. Um, and then we work very closely with the state and the Department of Aging. So area local aging offices are key to your success as well, because they will help
Mm-hmm.
you and say, okay, I have a tenant that is looking for a place, and they'll give us, $1,600 a month. And they might only stay for 3 months because maybe they're going to go into a skilled nursing facility, which means maybe they are,
Mm-hmm.
maybe what happened was they sold their house, but they need to have hip surgery or whatever it may be. They just need that
Yeah.
transitional housing for short term. So
Yep.
the area on aging will say, hey, I know somebody that has a house. I need somebody, I can place somebody. We'll absolutely accept that person. If we have the availability, we'll do it. So
Mm-hmm.
working with them again is key. But it's definitely important that you reach out to your health networks as well. So your hospitals, and say, hey, we are an independent living facility. And then those hospitals will say, okay, you could live here for $1,500 a month. This is the amenities. This is what's provided. Um, so for us, we provide you 3 meals a day, 2 snacks, plus your daily activities. You are given,
Mm-hmm.
all the access to healthcare, all the, the vegetable gardening, the raised garden
Mm-hmm.
beds, whatever it may be. We provide as much as we can. Um, so that's a part of our package. Um,
Uh,
Other facilities might be designed where you're going to spend five, six, $7,000 a month in an independent
mm-hmm.
living facility, but it is more independent in that you have like a kitchenette in your room, you have a private
Mm-hmm.
bathroom, you have all your amenities in your room, essentially in your apartment. So that's another, but that's more condo style living, that's more townhome style living, more apartment setting. And then you're not getting into that co-living space. With us, we want to keep
Mm-hmm.
that, we want to keep it modest. We want to keep it at that $1,500. We want to keep it conservative. And that's what we aim to do. So between that double occupancy and then the shared bath, it's a phenomenal method to make it work.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. And I like everything what you do for people and activities and even gardening and
Oh yes. Oh
transportation.
yeah. We're
I
excited because
like
we also want to do the outdoor games. We want to do giant Jenga. We want to do giant Connect Four, cornhole. We really want the residents to enjoy. I mean, we have both of our properties have about 4 acres of ground, so we have plenty of
Mhm,
space for them to enjoy nature.
mhm,
We look forward to being able to set out the gazebos and seating areas and outdoor dining and barbecues and stuff like that. So absolutely.
mhm. Cool. So, but who places their tenants? Who fills house?
So our
Program.
administrator works with the
Mm-hmm.
Department of Aging. She works with
Mm-hmm.
the health networks, and then we also place ads on between our website, between our Facebook pages, and then we have um, there's also another website called A Place for Mom, where we place an
Mm-hmm.
ad out that says, double occupancy room, 3 meals, 2 snacks, access to healthcare, all that stuff. So we just put it basically
Mm-hmm.
you know, forgive me for saying it, but like a Craigslist ad out, and we promote it that way. Um, we are fortunate because Pennsylvania is one of 5 in the nation that
Mm-hmm.
senior housing is a niche and a need. It is an absolute
Mm.
need because the baby boomers are retiring, they are aging out, and they don't want to worry about maintenance on their homes. They don't want to worry about
Mm-hmm.
you know maintenance and car insurance. They just want to live happily, socialize, and enjoy life. So
Yep. I agree. I agree. Guys, for those who are watching us right now who did not join us in the beginning, we are speaking about independent co-living for seniors. And my friend Patrick, he has a couple of these properties, and he's sharing his experience. And right after this session, we are going to jump into Zoom for Q&A session. And link to this Zoom I just put in the chat. So please join us if you want to ask, if you still will have questions. Okay, dokie, Patrick. Let's go to Q&A. Let's go to Zoom.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
So, yes, guys, please don't forget to copy this link and join us in the Zoom. We are going to go there right away. Thank you, everyone,
Okay.
and see you in the Zoom.
All right. Thank you, everyone.